Hello everyone. We've got another NASCAR USA Truck Series race on tap for you here today at Mid-Ohio. Before we get to the main event, we've got 31 trucks in the sprint qualifier here that are going to try to make the main event for the Sylvania 143 here. Starting on the front row, we've got newcomer Chris Harvey alongside Tom Cording. Tom Cording joining the series full-time since being in the Busch Series this year. Then we've got Jeffrey Gerald and Will Turner right behind them. Then we've got Mike Sky Jr. and Richard Townsend. Mike Sky Jr. new entry as of this week. Tashi Gupta is also new to the series, as well as GP Luxembourg, or Gerardo P. Luxembourg, joining the field in the 84 Winston truck there. Then you got Jessica Hergeson and Chips, David Bird and Jacob Shangle, newcomer Nate Newman alongside Taden Berggren, 51 of Cannon Gage and the 83 of Nate Gonzalez. Then we've got Lotus King and Charlie Chippington, Kat Durham and Santi Messi, Chasey Plays and Matias Nunez, the 15 of Kenyon Hall and the 86 of Josh Drake, Morgan Webb and Fireball Robert, Luke and the 99 here of Daniel Paulus, the 3 of William Kinsella Jr., the 91 of Adam Kraus, and the 88 of Noah Hobson. We're already off to racing here. Only 7 are going to transfer out of this sprint qualifier into the main event today. So as you can see right now, 7 at the front currently belongs to Chris Harvey, Tom Cording, Jeffrey Gerald, Richard Townsend, Will Turner, Mike Sky Jr., and GP Luxembourg, as well as Tashi Gupta. I really hope I'm not butchering that name. It might be Tashi Gupta. Something a little different for the USA Trucks this season. Not very many road courses on the schedule. Mid-Ohio, definitely a favorite amongst some of them, the drivers in the series here. So it's going to be a well-fought battle for a win that everyone wants to have a trophy for. And they are getting wide out of that turn, as you saw the 43 of Taden and the 187 of Chippington go off into the grass there. Currently, Tashi Gupta is right on the outside. We only got 10 laps here in the sprint qualifier, and he sits in 8th, the last truck outside of our transfer positions. With it only being 10 laps long, and a lot of road course racing tends to be follow the leader, he's going to have to hope for a little bit of bad luck from someone around him, or make a bold move to make a pass for the position right in front of him. It's amazing how many newcomers are in this series each week. Highlighting that, we've got Nate Newman further at the back here, right behind David Bird. Those two are best buds. So that kind of helped bring Nate Newman into the sport here, getting someone that he knew to join the series. And further ahead, Tashi Gupta, as we've mentioned. This is his first ever attempt in the USA Trucks. GP Luxembourg, Mike Sky Jr., Tom Cording, not exactly his official first start. He did attempt one race on the dirt earlier this season, but now in a little bit more powerful equipment, he seems to be filling the shoes of that 50 truck that his brother drives. Coming out of the same power plant, those trucks are going to be tough to beat week in, week out. The one that's crazy here is Chris Harvey. This is only his second race full-time in the trucks, and did really well leading in his heat at Knoxville, dominated in his heat race, then went on to have an admirable top 5 finish for the main event. Joining as late as he did, it's going to be hard to make the playoffs without a win. But if he can crack the top 35 and get a win, he could be in the talks for a playoff bid in this truck series. So 7 transfers have not budged much yet, but it looks like Tashi Gupta might be making a little bit of momentum up on the 84 GP Luxembourg right in front of him. We got some interesting things developing here midway through the sprint qualifier. It looks like Gupta is going to make life hard here, GP Luxembourg. As you can see, the two of them are the tightest, the closest on track that they've been for the duration of this heat race so far. Both drivers fighting to make their first official start here in the USA trucks. We've only got 4 laps to go here in the sprint qualifier. And your transfers being so far the 2 of Chris Harvey, the 90 of Tom Cording, the 16 of Jeffrey Gerald, the 11 of Will Turner, the 80 of Richard Townsend, the 12 of Mike Sky Jr., and the 84 of G.P. Luxembourg. Three laps to go, and Luxembourg is stretching it out slightly on Gupta. But as you can see, Tashi is running him back down here, making a 45 truck. Seems to have a little bit of pace in spots on the track that the 84 does not. Going forward, driver like Tashi Gupta and Nate Newman will have an opportunity to get their way in on a wild card spin. That'll last until we have no more drivers that have failed to start a main event. Once everyone has started at least a main event, we will figure out something else for that wild card spinner. But for now, looks like we're going to have about 2 new drivers make their 3 new drivers with the 84 here, the 12, the 16, and the 90. All of them are going to make their first ever official start here in the USA Truck Series. Shame for Morgan Webb. It seems that he doesn't quite have the... oh, it looks like he got a little bit of damage. Something we might have missed early on in the race here. This was on lap 1, so let's see what exactly transpired at the back of the field here. As you can see, the ticker up above is still showing the live ticker for the main, how everything's going in live. Meantime, we're going to check and see exactly what happened to the 6 truck. Stuck behind the slower traffic here in the back of the pack. Maybe trying to make it 3 wide. Thinks better of it there. Everyone's wooing up for this turn. Still don't see where the damages come from quite yet. Oh, right there. Drove it in just a little too deep. Kissing the wall. And that is how Morgan Webb wound up at the back of the field. We had some more chaos, it looks like, with the 3 truck here. Oh, and he ran right into the 91 of Adam Kraus. Wasn't able to get woed up in time and slammed right into him. Everyone at the back of the field is just struggling to make it to the end right now. Meantime, Harvey, Cording, Gerald, Turner, Townsend, Sky, and Luxembourg. Still your 7 transfers, as we've only got 2 laps to go now. It'll be white flag next time by. And tonight's main event, the Sylvania 143, will be a total of 64 laps for these guys. It'll be a fairly lengthy, decent run for all the truck drivers. Ohio native Jack Ross is back on the circuit after serving his time. Now that he's going to be back in racing, we'll see what he can do about working his way into a potential playoff spot. So many of these drivers have not gotten a win this year that had proven capable of winning last year. And the way the schedule is, the races, it gets so quickly down to the playoffs that there's very few opportunities for a lot of these drivers to get to victory lane, especially with the size, how we've got 67 drivers attempting to make the field every week. It's just getting harder and harder for these drivers to actually rack up a win. And then you have newcomers like this that come in and they're already setting the world on fire. I mean, Chris Harvey, it's going to be just a matter of time before he starts finding his way into victory lane. Tom Cording obviously is going to have some talent and some engine power behind that number 90 truck, as we've seen with the number 50 many times. And Jeffrey Gerald will make his first USA truck start. Tom Cording as well. Will Turner makes another start in the series. Townsend as well, making another start here in the series. Mike Sky Jr. makes his first official start. And GP Luxembourg makes his first official start. Tashi Gupta is going to have to try again next week when we head to Texas for a night race there. Chips is going to be scent packing. Jessica Hergeson, David Bird, Jacob Shangle, Nate Newman, Nate Gonzalez, Lotus King, Charlie Chippington, Cannon Gage, Tayden Berggren, Kat Durham, Santi Messi, Matias Nunez, Chasey Plays, Fireball Robert, Kenyon Hall, Josh Drake, Daniel Paulus, Noah Hobson, Luke, Adam Kraus, Morgan Webb, and William Kinsella Jr. So that just goes to show you why we're making a push to get an ARCA series started here in the Nasser family of racing. We have obviously outgrown our shoes here in the truck series for sure. And with the Busch series being exclusive and the Cup series being exclusive, it's getting harder and harder to take in new drivers each and every week, which by all means, the more the merrier. I love having more people get excited about the races each week. And, well, we're going to have ARCA races for everyone to get excited about as soon as June 23rd. So it is confirmed we are shooting for a June 23rd season opening. So with that, most of these truck drivers are going to be eligible for draft in the ARCA series. So we're going to have a draft to set the ARCA field based on the drivers that are at the lower end of the point standings here in the trucks. Okay, it is time for the Sylvania 143 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Road Course. Starting on the front row, we've got the 10 of Jordan Walker and the 2 of Chris Harvey. Behind them, we've got the Courting brothers of Tim and Tom, the 50 and the 90 truck. Then we've got Atlee Weiss and Chaz Chadwick, Cash and Jeffrey Gerald, Bradley Ream and Trevor Walker, Gavin Gray and Adam Gerber-Forian, Tim Hansen and Richard Townsend, Matthew Fastnot and Aunt Me Person, Monty Shangle and Brian DeBlank, Jack Ross and Al Bunch, Mike Sky Jr. and Krista Cower, GP Luxembourg and Zach Armstrong, Jack Davis and Colton Smith, Andrew Moger and Nathan Morgan, Craig Popgris and Will Turner, John Brinker and Chris Hergeson, Maggie Reams and Anheuser Wachner, Dave Steele and Gannon Bird, Quinn Ryan and Luis Rodriguez, Philip Leeds and Paul Ladino, and at the very back, Leighton Avyard and Gavin Legend. So it's been a dominant year for the Walker brothers when it comes to road course racing. Usually it's Trevor Walker on the road courses, and on the short tracks it's Jordan Walker. Today it looks like Jordan Walker is starting on the front row. So we'll see which Walker brother comes out on top today. 64 laps. We are likely going to see one pit stop around lap 40-ish. The 36 to 40 will be your pit window. So one-stop race for all these drivers. We might see some interesting strategies occur from that, whether we get cautions or something. But here we go, off to the races as the green flag drops. Jordan Walker with an early nose out front, but give Chris Harvey a little bit of momentum on the outside, as it looks like he's going to be charging into this turn on the inside. Jordan Walker drives it in hard there, but Chris Harvey's going to keep it right alongside of him. Let that Dodge Ram eat as the horsepower between those two. It looks like a drag race right now. That Toyota running pretty strong behind. On the outside, again going into the turn, Jordan Walker is going to close the door. Harvey's going to have to settle into second for now. Settling into third, it's Tom Courting, Tim Courting, and Chadwick for your top five. Early on here, Atlee making a move to get up to sixth over Jeffrey Gerald, it looks like. Trevor Walker already settled into the top 10. Tim Courting definitely needs a win. He is 21st in the points right now. And last year was one of our final three drivers for the championship, having a serious sophomore slump here in 2023 during the winter season for the USA trucks. The fascinating thing about the USA trucks is there is no limitations as to who can compete. So even if you've made it up to the Cup Series, you're allowed to compete down here at the Truck Series no matter how long, how often, or as long as you want. You can stay in this Truck Series. You could win all the championships. You could technically win the Cup Championship and the Truck Championship in the same given year. And after the heartbreak of last year, Tim Courting vowed that he's going to try to stick it out through the series to try and get a Truck Championship. But because of how great a season he had, finishing third in the final points battle, finishing second, Chadwick was the one that finished third, wrecking out at Talladega. He earned his way into the Cup Series and has been learning the ropes there. Hasn't been having a spectacular start to his Cup career, but nonetheless, still learning and still racing week in and week out for the NASCAR series of racing. And now with his brother hopping in a truck full time, that's going to allow for some R&D and getting some well-needed improvements to these trucks that they may have been lacking in prior. So funny thing is, Tom Cording hops in and he's already running one spot better than Tim. So we cannot underestimate the number 2 truck here of Chris Harvey. He has been by far one of the biggest surprises. So let's set it up so we got our double green-white checkers if need be. You don't often see a driver show up and perform this dominantly when they start racing in the series, but you always see it once in a while, and when you do, it's quite the thing to behold. Another good run here today will hopefully knock him up into the top 35, and he won't have to worry about going through those sprint qualifiers anymore. The way he's running, he's definitely moving towards the top 35 in points quickly. Sadly for Leighton Aviard, it seems that his initial hopping in the truck at a super speedway has given off false sense of direction for this truck. The truck has struggled week in and week out right now. At least he's still out there turning laps, and if we get a wreck fest, he'll obviously have opportunities to move up through the field. But the power of that truck seems to be just a bit behind the ball for him. Surprisingly, Quinn Ryan's been running very hard, getting his way up into the top 35 in points, and having a rough day today too. So it seems that road courses may just be a different skill set that not all these drivers possess. Anheuser-Walkner here in the 95 making his season debut. Got the draw here from the wild card spin. Sitting 33rd out of 42 trucks, so not terrible. At least he's going to be able to mount some points here and hopefully start digging his way out of the bottom of the barrel. GP Luxembourg, after the sprint qualifier, it looks like he's settled into a mid-pack speed here amongst the big dogs. Nathan Morgan, mid-pack as well. And local native Jack Ross back in the series since his nearly 2-race absence across all 3 series. 2-week absence, I guess I could say. Back in full force, driving the 00 truck. He was one of those drivers that made it to the round of 12 last year, and with the newly designed round of 13 this year, he's a little bit off the mark to get into the round of 13 for 2023. Missing 2 weeks did not help his case any, so he's really going to have to get a win. And if we know anything about Jack Ross, he could do that. That's what he's been priding himself on, is the fact that he could surprise everyone in a do-or-die moment where he needs a win. That's how he made it to the playoffs last year. Just shocked the world, shocked the rest of the drivers out there with a win that no one saw coming. Richard Townsend's proven that it was no fluke in the last couple, his first start at least, his last start that he made at Knoxville. Running good here. Bradley Ream had a tough break at Knoxville, leading late in the race and getting wound up in a wreck, causing him to lose the race. The great nail, or at least, thorn in the side, was when Chadwick was the one to pull off the win and strengthen his points lead over Bradley Ream. So hoping today he can maybe make up some ground on Chadwick, but it's going to be hard when Chadwick's right up there in the top 5. Bradley Ream back in the top 10. Of course, points are not going to mean a whole lot once we go into the first round of the playoffs. We'll tally up any bonus points that'll stack the field for the playoffs. I'm still trying to decide how I want to do that. We might see some bonus points based on polls. Pole positions might count towards playoff points. In given races that they had led most lap honors, we might do some bonus points for that. So the playoff picture is not the clearest right now, but once we get closer, and by closer I mean we're only about a month away now from the playoff starting here in the USA Truck Series, everyone will get an idea of how everyone will be slotted. After today here at Mid-Ohio, we only have 4 more races until the playoffs start. And those 4 races will be March 28th, April 4th, April 11th, and April 18th. Then we have a 2-week break until the round of 13 starts on May 2nd at Talladega. And that's going to be exciting as we'll hit Talladega for the first round. Each first race will be a super speedway. Second race in each playoff round will be a dirt track. And then every third round will be a road course. At the end of the season, for the winter season, we will close it all out on the Charlotte Oval for the Bank of America Queen City finale, which will be a 300-mile race at 200 laps. Kind of surprising right now. You'd almost expect Trevor Walker to be making moves through the field to try and fight for the win. Right now, settled in 8th. Not looking like the Trevor Walker we've seen of races past on road courses. Perhaps the trucks are just that much harder to wheel around these road courses than the other cars that he's driven to so many victories. Meanwhile, Chris Harvey is still losing ground to Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker still turning 132 compared to the 133s of everyone behind him. So to a tune of almost a full second faster laps. Of course, 64 laps is a long race here, and there's no telling if mechanical failures can rear their ugly head. Pit stops might change things up. Strategy might change things up. Jordan Walker just came off of a dominant performance in the Busch Series at Knoxville where he led all 300 laps. So Jordan Walker and Trevor Walker have really been the talk of the season so far. If we look at the truck point standings, Jordan Walker is currently sitting in 8th place. So with a win here today, that could help catapult him up into the top 5. His brother Trevor, deeper in the points in 16th, as these two have not had the same speed in trucks as they've maybe had in Busch at times. But when they're out there to win, they're out there to win. It seems like they're unbeatable on certain days. And the other days, they might be a mid-pack truck at best. I guess that's what some people may call checkers or wreckers. Well, and not even that, because they don't end up wrecking. The speed's off at the tracks they didn't do their homework on. So so far, we're into this race 9 laps and no caution. Been running green flag from start to this point so far. Wow. Paul Ladino gets a little bit sideways there. Nothing of it. Anheuser Wagner is actually outperforming his teammate, team owner, the 59 of Gannon Bird. Surprisingly, John Brinker having a rough go of it here on the road course. One thing I don't think we realize is just how different the skill sets are once we go to these left and right turning tracks compared to the ovals that we've been watching so often lately. The crazy part is how our points leaders are so well rounded that even on the road courses they're still running up front. Where you got Bradley Ream in 10th, Atlee Weiss in 6th, Chaz Chadwick in 5th, Tim Cording in 4th. As mentioned at the start, our pit window is around 36 to 40. And with it being 64 laps, that's perfect for a one-stop race. Doubt we're going to see many drivers cutting it early, as the advantage is not really there to come in early and push the envelope in case we get green-white checkers. It seems that something may have happened to Tom Cording as he is dropped off from the front of the field here all the way back to 33rd. Perhaps he's going to be making the shortstop strategy, which could pay off if he didn't feel like he had a truck fast enough to run through the field to win it. So here we go with pit strategies already. This is going to be a risky pit strategy since it's going to require the race to go green with no green white checker at the finish of it. This basically allows him to run to the finish of the race with a 50 lap run, so it's going to be pushing on gas mileage. Whether or not that's going to be the right move, yet to see. Meantime, Jordan Walker is just out there cruising away from the rest of the field. He's put himself up a full 8-second lead on the rest of the field back, so just keep an eye on this pack here and see how things play out. 23 laps in. We're about 1/3 of the way through this one. Jordan Walker has just been dominating. And this will be back-to-back dominant performances for Jordan Walker. The rest of the series should pay attention here because this has been a lot of research and development that's gone into these road course and short track races for these guys, and they're a step above everyone when it comes to these road course packages, and that could prove detrimental once they get to the playoffs, or perhaps, if they haven't figured it out for, say, the last race of the year at Charlotte, it may not make a big difference anyways. But definitely been a crazy season for the Walker brothers, showing just how strong and dominant they've been. Well, it looks like we've got our first official caution here at lap 26. Okay, and so the caution is brought out for a blown engine on the 13 truck of Aunt Me Person, who was running 11th right before that happened. Blows up running in 11th, having to stall out on track here, and brings out the first caution of the race here at Mid-Ohio. We're going to see everyone come down pit road for their pit stops here. This is going to be a big telltale on how the rest of the race is going to play out. If someone can beat Jordan Walker off pit road, perhaps, what might happen, we'll see. Nope, Jordan Walker comes off pit road first, and most of the top 5 unchanged there. This is the big risk that the 90 truck was taking by pitting early. Now that he's pitting here again, he's going to be able to have fresh tires and be on the same pit stop strategy as everyone, but he'll be way deep in the pack, and it's going to be less likely to see him get a top 10 finish like where he was running at the start of this one. So, kind of a mid-race caution break here. This will put us back on the green flag at about lap 29. Still, the class of the show here today has been Jordan Walker, but with everyone getting bunched back up here and a double file restart to boot, there's no telling how this could play out. The lights are off on the pace truck and they're double filing back up. As things are bound to get a little bit interesting now that we had our first caution. Pace truck is getting off the field, letting these guys get back and going. Chris Harvey has quite the advantage right now on Jordan Walker. Now we're going to see the initial start. It seemed like Chris Harvey was going to be fast enough to get around Jordan Walker. The only way that Harvey's going to have a chance is if he gets out there in front and holds him off for a while, but to no avail. The 10 of Jordan Walker just settles right back into the lead with ease. Things are looking better here for Harvey as he's staying really close to the back bumper of the number 10 truck. we're under caution again, so cautions breed cautions, as it's going to be Jordan Walker maintaining his lead. So let's see if it's this 22 truck perhaps that brings out the caution. Oh, there we go. That's what happened right there. The 9 and the 98 make contact. You can see Tim Hansen on the outside connects with Krista Cower, and as soon as her truck full on sideways there, that's when the caution comes out. Very subtle wreck, not much going there, but still brings out our second caution of the race, and everyone's going to have an opportunity to try it all over again. So we're getting closer to halfway here. Get enough restarts and it was bound to happen. It looks like Chris Harvey finally had the restart he needed to get by Jordan Walker. This puts Jordan Walker behind some traffic now, and we're going to have to see just how well he can handle being in the traffic. Chris Harvey, if he can make it work, he's going to have to drive away with that lead now and not look back. Even though it looks like the 18 of Chadwick is going to try to fight hard for that lead. A new contender up to 4th. We've got Adam Gerber-Forian there, and that puts Tim Cording back to 5th. This is going to be exciting to see what Jordan Walker can do with a little bit of having to deal with some adversity. It'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back here. Field is definitely a little bit shooken up here from the initial set that we had at the top 5. Now that Jordan Walker has fallen out of the lead, Chris Harvey and Chadwick 1-2. Tim Cording falling all the way back to 5th. Trevor Walker making some moves to get up here. He's getting up to 6th. And so many of these drivers are in need of a win. I wouldn't say it's a must-win scenario yet, but especially for a driver like Chris Harvey that just joined the series, it's a must-win. He's going to need to win this race, and with a win, it would likely put him up into the top 35. And he'll have to maintain that top 35 status, and he's going to be a playoff contender before you know it. It's going to be interesting because that'll knock someone out that's in the top 13 in points, who may have earned their way in with points but not wins, and that's the deal. Ultimately, win and you're in still stands in this series, just like in the Real Life Cup series. And just when you thought it was going to be a Chaz Chadwick, Bradley Ream, Walker Brothers setup for the playoffs, no one exactly expected or saw that Chris Harvey was going to be a threat. Amazingly enough, Jordan Walker struggling to get back by these two. Seems like maybe the tires have wore off a bit too much for him on this round. And it's not going to get any better since this will be the last stint to the finish. No more pit stops. This is what they've got. And Chris Harvey just surprising the whole field here. We've only had one retirement from the race, the 13 of Aunt Me person who brought out one of the 2 cautions that we had. Suffering a camshaft failure and ultimately making his point situation a little bit harder heading towards the playoffs. And we're down to the final 30 laps here, just over halfway through. Tim Cording definitely going to be proud to put some of his bad races behind him here with a good finish at Mid-Ohio. It ain't going to erase all the damage that's been done, as 21st in the points is still a long ways to climb up into a top 13 spot. A lot of his bad races did not reflect how well he was doing, especially when he was out front leading or running second in a couple of races and wound up getting wrecked out or cost a top 10, top 5, or even a win in some cases. Sometimes you cannot amount for bad luck, and he has had plenty of that this season. But we still got 4 races until the playoffs. There's a lot of time for him to make up progress, and I wouldn't count him out. He's still going to be a fighter. He's going to make it back up into contention for the championship here. Chadwick just got his first win last week at Knoxville, so that's a huge step for him. Kind of be able to take the stress off each week and not race as hard trying to get that win, because he's already locked into the playoffs. And perhaps that's even a little bit to do with him settling into second here and maybe giving Chris Harvey a chance to get his first career win. But even as I said that, it looked like he had a little bit more speed than the 2 truck, so we might see how this battle pans out. Harvey has not had much time out front leading, so I can only imagine that his checkpoints are a little bit off. It's going to be hard when you're not following a truck, because you're leading the way right now. And Chadwick is keeping him on his toes, just running right there behind him. Best thing is going to be that at least it looks like we're going to have an exciting finish here at a road course, where road courses often turn into a single file runaway for most drivers. We've seen that already a couple times where Trevor Walker has just drove away from the entire field. No cautions, none of that, just end up dominating and winning the race without any competition. But today we're seeing some good competition here for the win. Jordan Walker definitely led the most laps so far, leading for the first 30-lap segment. And now we've got a new leader in the second half here. And it looks like Jordan Walker is still losing ground to these two. Chadwick keeps peeking his nose out in that turn there. Perhaps that's going to be the spot he wants to make the move later on in the race. With 28 laps to go, there's still a lot of time that they have to figure out the right move to make the win happen. Lap 40 here, and further towards the back, it looks like Tim Cording lost position to Trevor Walker, so that puts Trevor Walker up into the top 5. We've got Will Turner here, slowly getting into the grasp of the leaders as he's about to go a lap down. Still can't be surprised more than anyone else here that Chris Harvey is out there leading laps at the close of this race. This would be a huge upset and would definitely be one of those situations that shakes up the point standings and the playoff picture going forward from tonight. lap traffic of Will Turner seems to be giving Chadwick a little bit of problems here. This is going to help the two of Chris Harvey get some distance on that 18 truck. In the meantime, looks like we have another pass happening. 14 of Adam Gerber-Forian fighting alongside the 10 of Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker has not been the same since this last round of caution that put him behind the 8 ball. He manages to settle back into third in front of Adam Gerber-Forian. But before long, Jordan's going to be having to fight with his brother Trevor for a position here. Oh, and the 14 goes wide there. Manages to make it work. This turns out to be scheduled pit stops, actually. Maybe my calculations were off, as we still have 14 laps to go. So these drivers up front pitting, it's gonna have to stay green for them if they want to get shuffled right back around to the lead. But right now, lead belongs to Chaz Chadwick. Yep, and everyone's pitting, and so we're gonna see Chadwick and the rest probably pit here soon too. Last round of pit stops with around 14 to 12 laps to go for everyone. And just like that, Chadwick coming down pit road. Trevor Walker, Tim Cording. At Lewis is going to stay out another lap and probably gain the lead here, unless the pit stop, yep, Tim Cording and the rest of those guys actually passed the pits, past the start finish line in the pits there. Who is leading? Oh yeah, Adam Gerberian staying out just a little bit longer. And the transition of the pit stops, it looks like Chadwick has the advantage on Harvey, but Harvey gets by and takes the lead back, and this will be the position for the lead. As you can see, Chadwick on newer tires coming out of pit road. He is having to slowly get those tires warmed up. Coming off, yep, his pit stop, he came out. And crazy enough, he actually came out in front. But you can see that extra lap for Harvey allowed him to run with faster, warmed up tires already as he starts to chase him down. And in the last section of the track, he's actually able to get back by for the lead. Like we saw when I just jumped back here to look at the lead. And Harvey sticks it on the inside, doesn't make the move there, but ultimately gets the move made right there. And that could very well be all she wrote for this race. Short of any cautions or shenanigans from someone getting in a wreck or causing them to do a restart. And we do have that caution. caused the caution? Let's see. Perhaps it was a fake debris caution? Looks like we have a debris caution, which is ultimately just going to make the finish of this race something extra now. So likely you get one more restart here. Who knows? We might get a green-white checkers even. But for now, this will be tentatively the final restart of the race with 10 or 9 laps to go. Chris Harvey currently holds the lead over Chaz Chadwick, Adam Gerbeforian, Trevor Walker, and Jordan Walker. That's your top 5. Going further back, top 10, we've got Tim Cording in 6th, Atlee Weiss, Matthew Fastnot, Mike Sky in his first ever race in 9th, and 10th Al Bunch with Bradley Ream right on the edge there at 11th. We're double filed back for the restart with 10 laps to go. It's going to be the same length as that sprint qualifier we just ran, so consider this a sprint qualifier to the finish for this whole field. We still have 29 trucks on the lead lap. Everyone else back at the back is 2 laps down. Ooh, and Chadwick got one hell of a start there as he blows by the two of Chris Harvey. Chadwick starting to drive away. And now Trevor Walker up to second, making things interesting here. Tim Cording on the inside definitely needs a win. If he can pull this off, he would love it, and he would be locked into the playoffs. We were just talking about Chris Harvey potentially locking his way into the playoffs, and this restart has totally shooken all of that up. Harvey's going to have his work cut out for him here now that he's fallen all the way back to fourth. Chadwick, fresh off of his win just this last race at Knoxville, could be a rare oddity to get another back-to-back winner in our series. We saw earlier this year Monty Shangle win 4 straight in the Cup Series. And you never want to count out Trevor Walker at a road course. He always seems to find his way to the front. Still running without a caution. Staying green with 9 laps to go. Chadwick, his job now is to try and hold off the 21 of Trevor Walker behind him. This is going to be a hard deal for Chadwick to close out as Trevor Walker racing hard. Going to drive it in deep here into the whichever turn this is, and it looks like Walker's going to take the lead away from Chadwick. Side-by-side racing here. Chadwick doesn't seem to have the momentum to get back alongside of him and settles in behind. If they were to race side by side for any longer, that would help the 50 get back into the picture here. It's a shame for Jordan Walker and Chris Harvey both that they led so many laps here today, and it's looking like they're going to come up short. And then Trevor Walker, who's just worked his way up through the field, showing that he's got the best setup, the best research and development team for these road courses, getting it figured out every time we hit these road courses. It's simply amazing. Seven laps to go now. And we've seen our third different leader in about 10 laps. This will be huge for all these drivers that are in the top 5. Getting a good finish here today will help their points tally out a lot. Especially Chris Harvey, who's just been in the series now for 2 races. And in his first 2 races, it looks like he's going to get 2 top 5 finishes. That's hard to do for a newcomer. Getting into the series and running with the big dogs, taking home top 5 finishes. Tim Cording's definitely going to feel like today's a victory, especially getting those valuable points back that he's been losing lately. Even with 6 laps to go, they're still really tight at the front of the field here, and a lot can happen in 6 laps. Chadwick, it's going to be whether or not he's going to want to win it more than Trevor. You got to imagine Tim Cording in third is going to try to push just a little bit harder from third and hope for a chance to get a win here today. That'll be the golden ticket into the playoffs and save him a lot of headache going forward. Trevor's starting to stretch it out here as 5 laps to go now rings. The key factor in today's race has been the restarts. It seems like different opportunities to get the lead. Once you get in the lead, it's a different story. That fresh air out front really helps a truck get away from the rest of the field. And I thought that some drivers just had that good of a truck today, but it really does come down to the dirty air once you get into traffic and whatnot. It's making it harder for drivers like Jordan Walker to make passes and get back to the front where we know his truck's fast. When it gets into the draft or the dirty air of the other trucks, that's a whole different ballpark. Going to be 3 laps to go this time by as Trevor Walker still holds the lead. Green-white checkers are on the table, so if we do get another caution before the white flag waves, we could still get another wild shakeup at the end of this one. But right now, it looks like we went from one Walker brother dominating at the beginning to the other Walker brother trying to close it out here at Mid-Ohio. These three very prominent in last season's championship battle. Trevor Walker made it into the round of 12. Didn't make it much further through from there. But of course, we all know Chadwick and Cording making it to the final three. So this bodes well for two of our top three to continue on next in the points battle going forward. Going to be down to the final 2 laps now, as Trevor Walker didn't look like he was going to be the one to win today. But that's why we run the races. We always let it play itself out, and Trevor Walker is going to give himself a few extra points going forward into the playoffs with a second win on the season here. Didn't really do it in dominant fashion like he always does at these road courses. He had to come and fight through adversity to get to the front of the field here. Our two previous leaders looks like they're going to slate into 4th and 5th at the end of this one. Our other title contender, Bradley Reams, going to have to settle for a top 10 tonight. They're going to have now 2 laps to go. I know I said 2 laps prior, but 2 laps, 1 lap, and the white flag. Leighton Aviard's going to get a 28th place finish here. Not too bad for having a miserable day. Still, it's looking like we're not going to get any more cautions here as Trevor is driving towards the latter half of the track. The good lead over Chadwick and Cording. He's either going to take the white flag here or the yellow flag, and it looks like the white flag is in hand as the flagman's waving it. White flag, 1 lap to go here. Whatever happens now is final. Seems that Trevor Walker is going to stun the field here, coming from back in the pack to try and take the win. Great day for the Walker brothers through and through. Yet again, road courses are... He is a road course ringer for sure, the way he has proven his strength on these tracks. Chadwick and Cording will be happy to have a top 5 finish here today, as well as Chris Harvey and Jordan Walker, who are going to settle for a top 5 at the end of the day here in Mid-Ohio. Just a few more turns left for Trevor Walker. He's going to have to bring it home without having a mechanical failure. The last stint of the race here. Last couple corners. And there's not going to be any drama as Trevor Walker... Seems that we're on a Walker Brothers win streak between Jordan Walker and Trevor Walker. Jordan won last week at Knoxville, and Trevor Walker wins here today at Mid-Ohio. Great run for Chris Harvey. He's just knocking at the door of getting his first career win. And likely this will help. I would wager this puts him into the top 35 in points after a run like this and last week at Knoxville. 2 top 5 finishes. He's going to be really close, if not within the top 35. So congratulations to Trevor Walker, who has now put himself in a good position for a great run in the playoffs with 2 wins. A few other drivers in the season has 2 wins, Bradley Ream being one of the other guys. The others, if there are any, don't come to mind at the moment, but great run for him coming from back of the pack to finish first. Good run for Chadwick, Tim Cording, Chris Harvey, and Jordan Walker. And so that'll be a wrap for Mid-Ohio. Got to see some differing leaders at the front of the field. Great run. A lot of action, a lot of excitement. And so next on will be the the Busch Series at Circuit of the Americas, and then after that, the Cup Series at Circuit of the Americas. So Mid-Ohio is kind of a standalone for the trucks. Mid-Ohio is going to be on the schedule in the Cup Series later on in the season. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Glad you could watch, and hopefully you can tune in for the next race with the Busch Series at COTA tomorrow. So have a good one, and catch you on the flip side.